Hello friends and everyone, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. In this video, we're going to look at how we can prepare our services that we created. In our last video, we integrated RabbitMQ service, put them in a container, and run them in Docker without necessarily running them through our Visual Studio. Nowadays, people are moving to containerization. That is where images or project applications are built into images, specifying all the various assets that they need, and then they let them run. Now, this can run on any platform, whether it's a Windows, it is Mac OS, it is any other platform. As soon as you have it in a package form as an image, all that you need to do here is to grab your Docker and it's going to run. So if you followed or if you checked the previous video, we integrated RabbitMQ, which is an event-driven architecture that we followed. We have our two services created in our microservices, product API, or that's a product service. Then we have our other service. Now, these two services, they rely heavily on the RabbitMQ for events. This is what we did in the previous video. We implemented a communication between the other API and the product API. The other API sends a request whenever an order is created, and it goes to the product API. The product API listens to that request, picks it up, and then processes it, and it also publishes it so that the other API can receive this response. And we're doing that using this RabbitMQ. Now that we have all these things to work in, how can we run? Because in production environment, we are not going to be using Visual Studio. Visual Studio is for development purpose, isn't it? So in production environment, we are not allowed to install Visual Studio on the server. So here, how do we run these two services that we have created? Let's say in production. That is where you need to package this as an images. When you package these services as images, you can run them wherever you are, which platform you are. You can run these images on them. So in our previous video, we created a Docker Compose file. Now actually, this contains only a section or a service for the RabbitMQ. Now let's have a look at it. So here we created a Rabbit service. And now with this Rabbit service, we have an image in there implemented. We have the port and then the UI port and our environment for our credentials. And then we created our volume. Now this is what we did to make this RabbitMQ server work. Now this is working. We integrated for publisher and then consumer in both the other service and also the product service. But we want to make sure that all other services that you have are running as image. So let's say the other service should run as an image. The product service should also run as image. So we are expecting to see 3 images running. So without Visual Studio, this application should still work. I hope you're getting what I'm trying to say. Great, so that is the reason why we're going to bundle this as image. So let's see how we can do it. Now, since we have created, now there are 2 ways of adding Docker support to your project. When creating it and following the wizard, you can just click on add container support. Maybe I can show you so that next time that you're creating it, you can and have in mind that you're going to build this as an image, then you can go in there and add it straightforward. Now see, go to new, add new, let's say new project. And we're going for web API, so let's choose that. So in here, that is where we can choose. So enable container support. And now this is what we need, Linux container. And now the build type here is Docker file. That is what you need. Okay, so if you have already created a project as I've done already, then I'll just go to solution, right click on the project, which is the web API. So that's the presentation. And then I'm going to add Docker support. So in here, I'm going to choose the build type as Docker file. And the container image distro, maybe I can choose any, but I want Ubuntu here. Then I'm going to click on, see where it's going to be. I'm going to click on OK. And it's going to add this Docker file to our other service. Okay. So when you have a look here, we having this service or this service added, right? And when you check from line 15 to 20, no, 19, you will see we having all the necessary project attached. Dependencies also added nicely. We have our shell library. We have the layers that we have in a clean architecture. Okay, we have our ports that we're going to run on a single port so we can clear the other one. Then let's go and add same thing. But when you check, this is the other service. Let me just bring the other one, which is the product service. Now for the product service, when I check the solution, we have a presentation here, and we also have the shell library. But look at something. If I click on this, go to open folder in File Explorer, and when this opens up, check it out. You see from here, we are not having this shared library because it is not found in this project. It is found in the other project. These are the shared library between these two services. So let's go to the other. Let's make sure we grab a copy here. Then we go to the product and I'll paste it. So now that we have a copy of the shell library here, all that we need to do is to go and remove this and then re-add it. So we go to this, not the other. We go to the product and then we add a shell library. The reason why I'm doing this is, when we are adding our Docker support, all the necessary dependencies should be available, but this is found in a different folder. It could cause an issue to that. That's the reason why I'm trying to get rid of that. All right, so let's go to dependencies, and for the application, we're going to add this project reference again, referencing the shared library. Great. So we are good now. So maybe for secure sake, we can just rebuild the solution and I'll make sure everything is intact before we add our Docker support. And yes, everything is great. Now let's go and add Docker support to our presentation. So we maintain the same, and now we also choose the same Ubuntu for this. Then you can see from here, we have a shared library also included. You see that? Great. All right, so this is also going to run on, this run on 8080, and this is going to run on 8081. Okay, so we have these two sets and done. Now the next thing I'm going to be doing here is we're going to build this project as image. We're going to build these two projects as images. So let's first handle this, the product. After we are done with this, you make sure, go to presentation, just check the directory where this file is, and then we can issue terminal in there to handle that. There is a Docker file. Let's move this to the root folder, to the root. So from the product, you have it here. Make sure you have this Docker here. And I'm going to run this in a terminal. You can just work it up from this Visual Studio, okay? But I love using terminal. So if I type in there, let's see, I'm going to have all the access. I'm going to have all the files here. And here I'm going to have access to this Docker file. So that's a bit that we can use Docker build and then specify the tag, the name here, Netcode-Hub. And then I'm going to have the name, which is this is our product, right? So product API v1, or I can make it like latest. I can say this is latest and then dot. So let's run our build this current context. So we hit on this run. But before we do that, we make sure our Docker is open. So you can see from here, I have my Docker ready and it is waiting for an image to be set in. So if you don't know this, then just check on the internet, download Docker Desktop. follow the result to install. Okay, and that is all. All right, you make sure the engine is running, as you can see from here. Now, when you check this, you can see it is still building this. So let's wait for this to get built. After it is built, we're going to see the image here. For now, if I type in API, you're not having the API. This product API. Let's go and do same to the other while this is running. So I'm going to move this to the other screen and let me close this once. And that is the other API too. Now with this other, which is running on 8080, let's go and also do same. So from this, navigate to the folder. Then inside this folder, I'll just move this Docker file away to the root. And then I can also launch terminal from here. So ls should also give me access to all the files, and I'm targeting this Docker file. So we do same Docker build. This time around, it is not product. This is other, right? So other API. Then we have the latest. Let's also build this. So we're going to wait for some time to let these files build. And we are building these images. So I think they are still running. Yeah, so I'll wait for some time and I'll come back when this is done. So you two wait for this to finish and now let's catch ourselves again. All right, so when you check here, you can see that we have the two services built as images. So let's pull our Docker and I'll check it up from here. So you can see that from here, I have the name, and with the name, I have Netcode-Hub product API and I have the other API. I have latest as tags. I have the image ID created automatically for me. I have created time or the created date just now, 2 minutes, 1 minute ago. Then I have the various sizes. So I have for almost they are the same, right? Yes, they're the same. So you see, I have these two images here, or these two services as images. I have them here. Great. And in the last video too, we also we downloaded this RabbitMQ image. So we also have that. So we have these three images here ready to run. Now we can get rid of Visual Studio because you don't need the package anymore. We are now hopping into the production environment. Okay, so but there's a problem here. Now in the Docker, it doesn't know localhost. But you can see from when you check the other service, check the app settings, we specified our localhost. We are saying this server is localhost. So with this, how is it going to work? There's going to be an issue. Okay, so within this, in Docker, if you want to make a reference of your database, maybe your Docker image connecting to your local database, then you can use docker.host, I think .internal. So I think we need to change this. So we're going to change this to, let's say this is host.docker.internal. That's what we need to do in order for Docker to refer to our system local host. We do same to the product. Okay. Now here I'm using SQL Server authentication, and as of course you must use same. If you don't know how you can integrate SQL Server authentication in your SSMS, then I have a video done already on it. I'll link it so you can check it up there so you can know how to integrate this SQL Server authentication instead of using window authentication. Okay, so now that we have new things added, what do we need to do again? Well, we need to go in and build this. Let's rebuild this again. So this should go somewhere. Then here, go and build it again. Let's have it latest. Let's build this again because we've added something and we must add it to the images as well. All right, so when you check here, it is done. Now check the next one. This is also done. So we have these two images built successfully. Okay, now we can close our Visual Studios because we don't need them. But well, we're going to be using this Docker Compose file, which is found in the order. So I'm going to bring this Docker Compose. We specify a Rabbit service. So we're also going to specify our the other services, which is the product and the other services. So with this, in our RabbitMQ service, you know, the two services that we have created, they rely heavily on this RabbitMQ. So this RabbitMQ service must get kicked and running before these two services can also run. Because when these two services are running, they are connecting to the RabbitMQ server. Now the server can only accept connection when it is running, when it is fully running. So in order for us to check these things, we can integrate test. As soon as this service is done, we want to test it out. When we test it and it's active, that is only when you want to make sure or you want to start the other services, which is the product and now the other services. This is great, isn't it? Yeah, so let's integrate this test to this Rabbit service. So first of all, before we add the service, let's make sure we add a network because all these three services are going to run on a single network that we're going to create. Okay, so let's specify network here. And with this network, you want to give it as my network or my microservices network. So now that I have this service created, let's go and integrate the health check. So when you look at our timeout or health check that we're creating, we want to ping it. It's a command that we're creating. We want to check this RabbitMQ diagnostics. The interval that we're doing here is 10 seconds. Timeout is 5 seconds. And we're going to retry in case the first will not work. We're going to retry 5 times to make sure the service is active. That is simply what we're doing with the health check. Okay. Now our two services left are going to rely heavily on this check to make sure they start. So now that we are done here, we have a Rabbit service. We're going to build our product service and make sure check the arrangement well. Okay, check the arrangement very well. Now let's say this is product API. It should be in line with the service. So when you look at this is a service that we are creating for this product API. We start from line 21 up to line 36. From here, we have a build type. We're going to build this as an image. Now we have we have the image already built. So we're going to specify the image name. The file here is a Docker file. And also from our container, we provide the name. Actually, I use the same name as the service name. This service name is going to be shown in the console, while this will be shown in the Docker desktop application. We have our port, and that's what we specify in a Docker file, 8080. So I'm having in and out over here. And also I'm having an environment. Now this environment, I'm having this port, which is an HTTP. So I'm mapping this port to HTTP, and that is what I'm going to use to access this. The environment here is development, although we are doing that in production. Oh, well, in production too, you can first do a trial. So we are testing. Then we specify connection strength, and that is where we specify same thing as we did. And then we have our network. Since we want to have all these services run on a single network, I have to repeat the same network here. Depends on service healthy, and this is going to come as a result of this. That is all. Now we need to also do the same for the other API. So you know what? I'm going to grab this, then I'm going to paste it. Sounds great, right? So let's make sure it's the same. Now we change this from product to other API. Then it's the same thing, but just that here, all of these are going to change to other API. And here, when you check the port, in other API, we specify the port as, this is the other API. I think, yes, this should be the other. Now we specify the port as 5049. So we grab this, you can change the port. Let's go to our Docker Compose file. And then let's replace the port. Then we must also replace this so we can access this in our browser. All right, so we have this put in place. Now that we have this set, we need to specify a network down here. And now this, we want to bridge all the services together. You see, you want to talk about bridge, creating a bridge between two separate entities, right? So that they can communicate. So you want to create a bridge with that, and that's what the driver is going to do. Okay, so now that we have our Docker file set up, what else are we going to do? Let's make sure the final build is done. I'm doing that because, in the connection string of one of the services, there was a comma. So I need to take that one off, and I need to rebuild that. Okay, so while this is ready, I'll just go back again to the same folder where this is found. I think in the doc. Okay, so here, then I'm going to run different terminal. Now, if I type in ls, I'm going to see this Docker Compose file. Check it out. ls, I'm getting this Docker Compose file here, and I'm going to say this Docker Compose file that I'm talking about up. So this is going to run these images. The service that you have here, each service has its own image. It's going to pull that image, and I'll make sure it runs it up. Let's check it up and see. All right, so that is done. And when you have your, I think I'm having one error, third warning. Let's focus on the error. From here, you're having something like build failed and missing assembly. That means we need to, let's rebuild this. Maybe there's an issue with that. Rebuild solution for this and other service. Let's also build the same solution for the product service. This is the product. So let's rebuild this and see where this error is coming from. So all built, and no error here. Yes, there's no error. Okay, so we can go through again and check and make sure that we have everything set. Okay, so our Docker compose file is okay. Then from our Docker file, we are also okay. Then we're going to go them again. So there is a product. We can add product. Let's build this product again to see. Maybe you can also try with the package manager console. Okay, so this is done. Let's check the other one too. You need to take time to debug this and see where the error is coming from. So we can also do same. And now this is also done building. Now let's see. So from our ls, we have a Docker file in here. This is a Docker compose file, which is found in the other service. So let's run that. So I need to check. You can see the RabbitMQ service is running. Now it's going to start the execution. As soon as this is done, we have our product API also running, and there's our other service also running. So they're going to run in that manner. Yes, so let's wait and see. Now, after they are done running, we must see the expose port of 50, for the other. Then the other one is 8080. We must see them active so we can access this UI through this port. So let's be patient and wait for this to finish. Maybe we can put our browser. So in here we can test it with localhost, then which is 15670. So RabbitMQ is set. We can also check for the other one. So localhost now is 5049 scalar v1. So that is our, which is this? Yeah, this is our product API. Then we have our order, so localhost, which is running on port 8080. And we have them. Yes, they are running. We can check from the console. Now from here, when we check, you're going to see, oh, this isn't finished. I wanted to show you how the ports were exposed. Let me see if I can get it. It is easier to get it in the using terminal nowadays. So it's still running. Never mind. Maybe later on we can have a look at that. So let's see. Now we're going to check. We have orders created. So let's test and see if this database connection is actually set. But there's a problem. Fail to fetch. That is when you're using Scalar. I think Scalar needs to look into this well. Running images, having the direct access link becomes an issue. Because of this, it cannot identify the local host. So we need to use something like Postman, which is second to Scalar for me. If I want to test it, if my Scalar doesn't work, then I'm going to use the Postman. So here we can grab this, which is the local host of port 8080. And within that, I'm making a reference to this is order. So that is my Postman. And I'm going to pass this This is other running on port 8080. So 8080 API/others, giving me the access to this, right? When I check this, it is localhost 8080 API/others, and the same thing. This is not post, it is get. I'm going to get all. If I click consent, if it works out, then it means we are connected to the database. Else, it means you have issue. Oh, okay, amazing. So we actually connected. You see that? So we have the product ID, the product name, and stuff here. Now we can go to the, let's look at the other one. If we can have access to get, this time around it is localhost. No more, this is not 8080. I think it is 5049. And this is product. So get our product. Check it out. Yes, and we also have it. So this means we are connected to the database. Amazing. Now okay, so let me just, you can see this is not running. You see that our API is not running from here. Now we are running our Docker images. So when you go to the Docker images, Docker desktop, go to the images, not even the images. These are running. You see it in use. Now let's see from the container. Now check it out. You see all these are running. Open it widely so we can see it well. So here it's telling you to stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. It means they are running. Now we created our container. Now we have this other container. Then we have our RabbitMQ service. There is a product API and our other API. So all these are running here, right? These are the various ports, but with our two services that we created, we expose only a port 8080 and 5049 for each. Okay, if you click on this, you can also have access to the logs over here, how it is running. You can go through that. I think the first time that it's run, you must see the port exposed exactly. As you can see from here, it's now listed on port 8080. The same thing applies to the other one. There is a port that is ready. There is the image name that we built, and this is how it is running. Amazing. Yes. So that is a way to build your application in production. So do not install Visual Studio. When you buy a server, do not install Visual Studio. All that you need is your Docker, and then you can push your images, and I'll start making them run. All right, guys. So you've come so far. You've seen how to push or publish our services, especially API services as images, and how we can run them, how we can connect them together. We can set up our dependencies, so they wait for a specific service to finish before they can also kickstart. Right? It's amazing, isn't it? At least you've learned something here, isn't it? If you did so, then give me a thumbs up. If you want to know more on microservices and how to do a whole lot of things with them, then make sure you give me a thumbs up to this video. And also, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, then make sure you do that. Check our playlist, let's say our courses, because we have a lot of informative content for you, both in APIs, microservices, Blazor, and a whole lot. All right, so I'm going to catch up again. So stay tuned and see you in the next video.